So this is a Swift Challenger 540, just going to take you around the van and show you how it operates. Front of the van, you've got your hitch, jockey wheel and handbrake. This is all stuff we'll take you through in person here on site. Front locker, you've got your gas bottle with gas regulator up on the bulkhead. And then you've got your reverse thread fitment that goes into the gas bottle itself. So essentially you'd have to turn it the opposite way to what you normally would to release the fitting. On top of the bottle, you've got your on-off valve for the gas supply to the Caravan. Coming down the side of the Caravan, you've got your water pump connection. Water pump pushes straight into the side of the van. And then you have your water pump pickup, which drops inside the ack roll itself. As you can see, the pickup end actually goes straight inside. You then have your wind down leg on either side of the Caravan at the front. This is to stabilise the Caravan, not lift the Caravan. If you lifted the Caravan with these legs, it could potentially damage the floor of the Caravan. So we never advise doing that. Like I said, just stabilise the van, so essentially put them down to the ground so they touch the ground with a little bit of tension on them, not so it's lifting the Caravan, but just so it stabilises the Caravan on each corner. That is the same as the back legs on the Caravan as well. Heater flue cover on the side of the van, so you'd need to remove this cover, which normally goes on there, as you can see. You'd remove that prior to igniting anything on gas inside the Caravan. You then have your battery locker with quick release battery terminals on top of the battery itself, and your mains power lead coming into the side of the van, and that just pushes straight into the connection on the side and locks into place. Then have your two fridge vents. The two fridge vents there to essentially allow hot air out the back of the fridge unit and to take some cool air in. Behind one of those is also a gas flue for when you're running the fridge on gas. The wheel nuts will torque while you're here on site, so you can see they've been tightened correctly, and they'll be done to the correct manufacturer's setting. Side of the van, you've got your grey waste pipe, so the fresh water that goes in the front of the van has to come out somewhere. You'll have two bits of grey pipe that push into the larger diameter circle fittings on the outside of the van here, push them into place, and they'll drop down inside the waste master. Toilet flush tank, you'll open this up with the key, and you'll put 3.5 litres of water and a cap full of the pink fluid prior to using the toilet, and that is essentially the flush system for the toilet itself. In the bottom, you have your toilet waste tank, so you'll use the yellow handle at the bottom to release the toilet cassette. The neck here turns out so the waste can be tipped away, and the cap here is a measure for the pink and blue fluid. On the back of the cassette, you'll have a yellow pressure relief button, that yellow button there, and you can actually press that in while you're tipping the waste away so the waste doesn't spit and splatter back at you while you're emptying the cassette. In the actual toilet cassette itself, prior to use, you'll need to put 1 litre of water and a capful of the blue fluid. On the rear of the Caravan, we've already discussed the wind down legs at the front. Again, don't lift the Caravan with them, they are just there for stabilising. There's one on either side at the back, just got one down for the purpose of handover. On this side of the van at the rear, you've got your storage locker for underneath the French style bed at the rear of the van. So you can access that, and you can access the storage facilities under there as well. Again, as we discussed, the wheel nuts will be torqued while you're here on site. Storage locker for underneath the front seating area, and your gas barbecue point on the front. Going inside the Caravan, first of all, you're going to connect all the power up on the outside and the water, etc. Then you come inside the Caravan and turn on your master power switch. You will also need to turn that on if you're just using 12 volt power source inside the Caravan, because you're off grid, for instance, so you need to turn that on. You've got your internal lighting on and off, water pump run, which I'll come back to in a moment, and your battery voltage, which will bring it on the graph on the right hand side. So to fill the water system, first of all, you're going to need to open all the taps up on the hot side. So as you can see, hot side of the water system, taps are open. Now I've already filled the water system on this van. However, to fill it, you're first of all going to need to come underneath the seat on the front right hand side of the van, and you're going to see your water pump down there, and you're also going to see the yellow drain down valve. Now that yellow valve, to fill the water system, needs to be parallel with the floor as it is now. If it was upright and pointing towards the camera, it'd actually drain all of the water out of the system, and if you tried running the system like that, the water would drain straight back out on the floor rather than come through the taps inside of the Caravan. So always make sure that is parallel with the floor before you start filling up the water system. Once that valve is parallel with the floor, you'll come over to the control panel above the door, and you'll turn on the water pump switch. Now you'll notice you get a green light come on the right hand side here to indicate that the water system is running, or the pump is running. Essentially then, once the water system is full, you'll have water running out of every tap continuously on board the Caravan, and at that point then you can shut all of the taps off. To start with, when you first turn on the pump, you will hear it spitting and splattering. The reason being is obviously after every use of the Caravan you are supposed to drain it down so the water system doesn't freeze if it did get cold, for instance. So once the system's full, shut all of the taps back off and make sure all the rest of the taps. Once that water system is filled, you can actually then start thinking about warming the water on board the Caravan. Now there's two ways of doing this. You have electric water heating or gas water heating. So in the wardrobe, in the bedroom area, you'll see you have your 12 volt fuses, your 240 trip switches, and you'll also see these switches on the right hand side at the top. So I'm just going to run you through those. The battery charger one you'd always leave on. The water heater on electric you can turn on just there also, so that's the switch just here. And you'd only have that on if you needed water to warm up and you had the water system full on board the van. You would turn this off before draining the water system down, as if you left it on, it could potentially burn out the element inside the tank on the water heating. So it works very similar to a kettle. It reaches temperature, it cuts in and out as it needs to. However, if there's no water in there inside the kettle, like you do when you boil a kettle with no water in it, then it can actually burn out that element. Top right hand switch is your space heater. You can leave that on all times, same as the battery charger. Then on the left hand side at the top here, a bit harder to see because it's not a lit up switch, is the option to run from the car battery or the Caravan battery. So if you're towing down the road and you want to use the fridge as a call box, you would actually need to have this switch on the car position just here. And that would also allow the car electrical system to charge the battery on board the Caravan as long as you have the right connection on the car. If the switch is in the centre, the 12 volt supply will be off. And if you have the switch on the van position, it'll actually run from the 12 volt battery on board the Caravan. However, things like the fridge that run from the 12 volt supply on the car will not work on the 12 volt mode while you're on site. So that's your control panels in there. Like I said, that is your most important switches are the battery charger and the water heater, obviously not to leave that on. Then you've got your Caravan switch and your electric heating on board the Caravan as well. To warm the water on gas, which is something you can also do, you have a control panel on the opposite side of the Caravan. This switch here, if you've got the gas supply turned on in the front locker, you can spin this dial round to the gas option and you'll get a green light appear in the back of this control panel. Now if the gas system ignites, that light will stay solid green. However, at the moment, as you can see, a red light has appeared to let me know it has failed to ignite on gas. The reason for that is the gas bottle is actually turned off in the front locker at the moment. You would need to use the gas as a boost for the water system while you're showering on board the Caravan. The electrical system isn't powerful enough to boost it while it's just running on the electrical side. To control the water temperature when you're on gas, you've got a dial here on the front between 30 and 70 degrees of water temperature. And again, like I said, you would need to use that as a boost system for when you're showering. Green light though, if that is solid green on its own without a red light, then it means the gas system has ignited. Below that you have your option to run your heating on board the Caravan. So that's the little heater down the front here. And this is the control for an electric. Now down the side of this dial you have 500, 1000 and 2000 watts of power coming into the Caravan. What that means is it's the amount of power that's coming into the Caravan from the Caravan site you're on. Here on site we can only run 500 watts of power. So that is what we're going to set it to on the dial. We can then control the temperature of the heater on the dial in the centre here. So the higher you go, obviously to the number 9 for instance, the hotter the heater will be. Turn it off, you spin it back to the central position and that will turn off the electrical supply to the heater. If you don't get a green light come on in there when it does actually come on, like you have now, then it just means that the electrical switch in the cupboard here isn't turned on for the space heater. Next up, we're going to go to the gas heating for the Caravan. Very simple to use, as long as the gas bottle's turned on again. You'll spin the dial around a bit like you would on your barbecue, hold down the gas valve, and you'll have a pilot light appear in this window when it has ignited. Once that pilot light is lit, you'll hold down the gas valve for a further 5 to 10 seconds, then slowly release the valve, then control the temperature of the heater on the dial on top. Turn off the gas supply, you go back to the 0, and that will isolate the gas supply to the Caravan. Like I said, pilot light will be in the window down the front. If you want to use blown air heating on board the Caravan, so them little white vents that you see down the bottom of the cabinet there, either side, that is for the blown air heating, a bit like you've got in your car, for instance. The dial here, on the left hand side of the heater, the dot in the centre indicates the heat is going to come out the front of the heater. If you want continuous blown air, you'll put it onto the wave symbol on the left hand side here, and you can control the fan speed on the dial on top. So again, that's a bit like your fan speed in your car. If you want to use automatic blown air, so it cuts in and out with the thermostat on board the Caravan, you can put it onto the A and it'll work with the dial up on the wall there, or the gas control just there, to cut the blown air in and out as it needs to on board the Caravan. The last thing we go through on this Caravan is the toilet system. Very simple to use. To allow the toilet waste into the cassette under the Caravan, you have that little grey handle there. That needs to be pushed towards that white vent, so pushed round to the front of the toilet, to allow the toilet waste to go in the cassette under the van. The blue button on top of the toilet is your flush button, so you need to press the button to allow the toilet system to flush. And on the top of the toilet also you have a toilet full indicator light, so that light will illuminate red when the toilet waste cassette is full. The toilet seat does turn for your convenience, however when you are removing the toilet cassette from underneath the Caravan, you need to make sure that it's pointing straight across towards the wall on the right hand side of the shower facilities to allow the toilet cassette to be, however when you're not using the toilet, it will need to be put across to the right hand side so you can actually remove the cassette from underneath the van, as it has a lockout tab on there, so you can't pull the cassette out while the toilet is being used. And that is also the same for the grey flap down the bottom there. That does need to be shut before the toilet waste cassette is removed from under the van. So that is the Swift Challenger 540. If you have any further questions on the Caravan, please don't hesitate to give us a call here at the Caravan Company, and we'll be more than happy to help. We appreciate the business, and we look forward to seeing you here on site soon when you collect your Caravan. Thank you for now. Bye bye.